Hello and welcome to the GMAT Advanced Target 700 program by Career Kata. Today we are going to see the verbal part 17, which is the 17th installment of the 50 videos for the verbal series. Today we are going to see another critical reasoning section, and we are going to build upon the concept of reasoning that we had built in the last video. For those of you who are new to this video, I would recommend that you go and look at the 16th installment of this particular series. For those of you who are also interested in reading about or practicing reading comprehension, you should go and visit installments 1 to 15 of this particular series. Okay, so today we are going to build on the concept of building out a pure logical thought before coming to things like what type of question it is, what is the concept being tested, assumption, inference, and things like that. We'll come to that, but that will be following. We'll first discuss the reasoning in critical reasoning. Okay, to put it that way. So let's look at this particular question. Don't get confused by a bold-faced question and all. Okay, so forget all of those notions as of now. Just try to approach these questions in a pure, simple, critical, analytical mode. Okay, don't get into all of that. So here we have two arguments. The first argument is by a consumer health advocate who says that probably he's talking to a candy manufacturer and says your candy company adds caffeine to your chocolate candy bars so that each one delivers a specific amount of caffeine. Since caffeine is highly addictive, this indicates that you intend to keep your customers addicted. Okay. Now the candy manufacturers gets back, says our manufacturing process results in there being less caffeine in each chocolate candy bar than in the unprocessed cacao beans from which the chocolate is made. Okay, forget about the options. As soon as you've read this particular question, take some time and think about whether all of this is making logical sense, or do you sense a discord in your mind that whenever if let us say you were reading these two sentences, would you think that yeah, both of them are a logical conversation piece, or you would say that, oh wait, something is missing? Okay, so take your time. Okay, so for those of you who need some more time, you can pause this video and take your time in crystallizing this argument. Let me discuss it. Now, let's first look at what is the consumer health advocate saying. He's saying you add caffeine to your candy bars so that each one delivers a specified amount of caffeine. So like first thing you do is that you add caffeine. Second thing is you add a specified amount of caffeine. Third thing, caffeine is addictive, so you intend to keep your customers addicted. Okay, so you add caffeine, you add a specific amount that keeps them addicted. Candy manufacturer says our manufacturing process results in there being less caffeine in each chocolate candy bar than in the unprocessed cacao beans. Now, as soon as I read this, there is a big discord in my mind. The kind of discord that comes by saying, oh yes, you answered something, but I was asking you something completely different. Because the consumer health advocate is asking that, are you intentionally putting a specified amount of caffeine in your chocolate candy bar to keep people addicted? What is the guy replying? He's saying that if I had not processed these beans, then the raw beans would have had more caffeine than what is there in my chocolate bars. But I'm not asking you that question, no. I'm not asking you whether your process is so good that if somebody was consuming the raw beans versus eating your chocolate, he's better or worse off. I'm asking you a completely different question. And you are replying me with a completely discordant answer. Okay. Now let's look at the question. The question says the candy manufacturer's response is flawed as a refutation to the consumer health advocate's argument because it. Now in the option itself, it says that it is flawed. The response is flawed. Okay, and we have also seen that it is when I'm reading it, my cognitive senses are telling me that something about this argument is wrong. Okay, Let's look at option A. Fails to address the issue of whether the level of caffeine in the candy bar sold by the manufacturer is enough to keep the people addicted. Very easy, right? It definitely is doing this. Candy manufacturer is not saying that what level of caffeine keeps people addicted. If he had just said that, you know, if we have 5% caffeine, or if we had 5 grams per bar, it keeps people addicted. But what we put only 2 grams, okay, or only 2%. What would this have done? This would have completely answered what the consumer health advocate was saying. If only the candy manufacturer had said something like this. But he didn't say this. He said that if you were looking at unprocessed beans, it would be different. If you're looking at my chocolate, it's different. Okay. So he did not address the issue whether the level of the caffeine in candy bars was more or less than what keeps people addicted. Okay. So it's a very good choice for an option. Let's look at the other options. Option B says it assumes without warrant that all unprocessed cacao beans contain a uniform amount of caffeine. So one, that it is not, we have not enough information to say that all unprocessed contain uniform amount of caffeine. Nobody has said it here. Okay, if you read manufacturing process results, unprocessed cacao beans. So there's no talk about whether, you know, it is uniform or it keeps changing. Okay. So I do not have enough information to comment on this. Does not specify exactly how caffeine is lost in the manufacturing process. This is a completely irrelevant option. Such kind of options should be eliminated in the first go. If you are getting confused with option C, then you should look at strengthening your core concepts. Okay, you should not be getting confused with option C at all. Let's look at option D. Treats the consumer health advocate's argument as though it were about each candy bar rather than about the manufacturer's candy in general. Again, this is tangential. The question is something else, the option is something else. Okay, just like the candy manufacturer is giving a tangential reply to the consumer health advocate, this option is tangential to the question. It is talking about a altogether different thing. Option E merely contradicts the consumer health advocate's conclusion without giving any reason to believe that the advocate's reasoning is unsound. Okay, probably the second part is right, but he does not contradict the consumer health advocate's conclusion. Okay, he talks about a separate conclusion altogether. Option E probably would have been the only slightly confusing option with option A, but otherwise this question was an easy question. You could have very easily pinpointed to option A, provided that you read and understand what is being said. Okay, and spend some thought. Spend your gray matter on such questions, on such reasonings, and develop a logic. Let's look at this next one. Okay. So this one says laws requiring the use of headlights during daylight hours can prevent automobile collisions. However, since daylight visibility is worse in countries farther from the equator, any such laws would obviously be more effective in preventing collisions in those countries. In fact, the only countries that actually have such laws are farther from the equator than is the continental United States. Okay, so if you're familiar with how the length of days and nights work as you move from the equator to the poles, I think you will take very quickly to the argument that is given here. Okay, so what happens is that I'm not going to get into details. I'll just give you a basic overview. It's because of the tilt of the earth, you know, while it revolves around the sun. Okay, so it's not like if let us say this is the sun, the earth, it rotates along a vertical axis. Okay, what happens is that this is inclined, this axis is inclined. Okay, which means that different parts of the poles are exposed differently when they are at different points of the circumference. Okay, so if this is the sun and you know if this part is here, what happens is that it kind of distorts days and nights much more at polar areas than equatorial areas. What happens at equatorial areas that definitely there will be a change in the length of light, nights and days, but not as much as this, because when this, let us say the earth comes here and North Pole goes very, very far, it might not get any sunlight during the day for months, right? Now, in such countries where you do not have sunlight during the day, a lot of automobile companies and a lot of governments, what they did was they made use of headlights during daylight hours compulsory, because it is supposed to be day, but there is no natural light. Okay, so you will need your headlights, right? Now, this concept will work very well in countries where you have this problem. But if, let us say, we were talking about equatorial countries, or even for that matter, United States, which is probably not at the extreme ends. If not at the equator, it is not at the extreme ends at all, right? So this thing will not apply to such countries, because in tropical countries during the day you will have the sun out for most of the year. So it will not make a lot of difference whether you keep the headlight on or off, which means that such laws will be more effective in preventing collisions in countries that are farther from the equator, right? So this is what it says. They will be more effective than those countries. Which countries? Which are farther from the equator. Okay. In fact, the only countries that actually have such laws are farther from the equator than is the continental United States. Okay. So this is what it is saying. Now let's look at the options. Now the question says that which of the following conclusions could be most properly drawn from the information given above. All right. Let's look at option A. Drivers in the continental United States who use their headlights during the day would be just as likely to become involved in a collision as would drivers who did not use their headlights. Okay, so spend some time on option A. This is a good option. Just take your time and crystallize whether option A makes sense. Okay, so for those of you who need more some time, pause this video, say it at your own pace so that you can attempt this question to the fullest. Now it says drivers in the continental United States who use their headlights during the day would be just as likely to become involved in a collision as would drivers who did not use their headlights. Now this looks true, right? If you are driving during the day, whether you put your headlights on or whether you put your headlights off is not going to have a lot of impact on whether you become involved in a collision or not, right? So this is a very, very good option. Let's keep it under consideration for now. Let's look at option B. In many countries that are farther from the equator than is the continental United States, poor daylight visibility is the single most important factor in automobile collisions. Okay, so not enough information for this. We know for sure that this is one of the factors because because such countries have such laws, so definitely some accidents would be happening, but we cannot say that poor daylight visibility is the single most important factor. This is an easy option to knock off. Let's look at option C. The proportion of automobile collisions that occur in the daytime is greater in the continental United States than the countries that have daytime headlight laws. Again, you do not have enough information to compare the proportion of automobile collisions that happen in the United States. So again, no information for this. We have not been told that XYZ number of accidents happen in United States. So many of them happen because of daylight laws and so on and so forth. Option D. Fewer automobile collisions probably occur each year in countries that have daytime headlight laws than that occur within the continental United States. Again, no information. You cannot compare. If you were able to knock off option C, you can knock off option D as well. Let's look at option E. Daytime headlight laws would probably do less to prevent automobile collisions in the continental United States than they do in the countries that have the laws. Okay, this is the perfect conclusion that we can draw. Daytime headlight laws would probably do less, and we have already seen, in fact, the only countries that actually have such laws are farther from the equator. Okay, because let us say we implement daytime headlight laws in the United States, what will happen? You will have some more light, but you don't need that light. The sun is already out. You can see all the cars. Whether you put your headlight on or whether you do not put the headlight on, it's not going to change much. So it will probably do less to prevent automobile collisions in the continental United States. Okay, which countries have the laws? The countries that have the laws are farther from the equator, which means they have a much bigger problem with respect to daylight as compared to the continental United States. So definitely E becomes the answer. Now, why between A and E, why should we choose E and not A? Just spend a couple of some time on option A and option E. Okay, so it says that drivers in the United States who use their headlights during the day would be just as likely to become involved in a collision as would drivers who did not use their headlights. Now let us say we have drivers. Okay, we say that this is pool A with headlights on. This is pool B with headlights off. Now it says that necessarily the rate of collisions of these guys and these guys is going to be the same. But just like we have seen in our previous session, where are the other factors that might be at play? Probably the guys who keep the headlights on are also people who are a bit more careful. Okay, take more precautions than option B, or vice versa. I'm not saying that the guys who put headlights on, probably they just leave it out carelessly. But there is always scope for other factors to come in and have a bearing on the number of accidents that these two groups do. So it's very difficult for us to comment that the drivers who use their headlight would be just as likely to become involved in a collision as would drivers who did not use their headlights. Okay, so this also is in a way no information. Okay, but again, option E and A were options that you had to consider. Okay, just like in GMAT, you should arrive at the two options. Options B, C, and D were options that you had to knock off. Okay, so as I said, keep your focus on the underlying reasoning and critical reasoning. The whole section screams reasoning, so you have to focus on that. You cannot run away from that. Don't get into things like hairy details of what type of question it is or things like that. We'll get to that. Don't worry. Okay. In the meantime, keep practicing questions on pure reasoning. We'll get to the other sections in the next editions of this particular series. Till then, don't forget to subscribe. So that you keep getting all the videos and more videos that we keep preparing and pushing. Don't forget to like. It really motivates us to put out more content like this. And I'll see you in the next session. Till then, keep preparing.